Let's talk money. Generational wealth is any asset that's passed on from one generation to the next. Cash, stocks and bonds, real estate, or even a business. But creating that wealth takes time, financial knowledge, and obviously money. As part of our celebration of Black History Month, we're joined by finance expert Dr. JeFreda R. She is the founder and CEO of Xeris Financial Enterprises, and she works to help Black families generate and manage their own wealth. And Dr. Brown, thanks for being with us. You say that you teach financial psychology to your clients to help them change their perspective about money. Talk about the effect that someone's attitude about money has on their wealth.
Well, one thing that people don't realize is that our emotions, our motivations, and desires actually affect how we make financial decisions. So it's important to learn how to have a different perception about money in order to change those financial decision-making skills that we have.
Yeah, as part of our Black History Month coverage, we talked to a black farmer in Missouri. He owns his own farm. He tells us he wants to create generational wealth, but he says it doesn't come without challenges. Take a listen.
I say that growing your own food really is like printing your own money. It's not that African Americans can't farm, because the country was built on African Americans in farming. It comes down to racism and access to capital, access to funding.
What's your reaction to that? Access to capital. We hear that over and over and over again.
Yes, that's so true. There's so many restrictions out there for people of color in dealing with access to capital. The gap is very large. There's been so much emphasis on improving that gap and making it not as wide as it is right now. But that's something that's still a challenge that we're advocating for.
Dr. Brown, the average white American has 10 times as much money in savings as the average Black American. That being said, without any form of reparations, how do you close such a large wealth gap?
Well, I think that the best solution for that is education, being educated about finances. And that starts with financial psychology, as we mentioned earlier. You have to be able to change your perspective about money, because none of us are born knowing how to manage money. And the behaviors that we learn could be negative behaviors that we learn from other people and that we take into adulthood. So learning how to change your perception about money and have a positive understanding of how to make money work for you is the first step. And also, as I've mentioned, obtaining education, financial literacy is very important.
Give me an example of a negative impression that some people might have and carry forward from generation to generation.
One thing, so actually, let me share an example with you. So there's two ends of the spectrum. So you can have somebody who saves all the time and they never spend. And then you can have somebody who they have money and they just spend it all the time. Neither one of those spectrums are really good. There has to be a median. You have to have a balance. You have to know how to live beneath your means and develop a budget and work within that budget.
Dr. Brown, I spend an awful lot of time dealing in the tech world. And one of the things that I've noticed is that we are now in the middle of the next industrial revolution. And yet there is no Black Jeff Bezos. There is no Black Elon Musk. There is no Black Bill Gates. And yet the tech world keeps saying we're trying to become diversified. If we don't have access to, for instance, $500 million worth of capital investment, we're not going to be Jeff Bezos. So are we still scratching the bottom of the wealth well, so to speak?
I don't think so, not necessarily. And again, I'm going to say that the key to that is education. There's so many programs that have been developed now within the past few years, especially since COVID, that are trying to get people more interested in things like STEM. There also is a lack of Black people working in finance. So these are areas and industries where we need more people of color to enter into these industries so that we can make some changes.
Dr. JeFreda R, this is an important topic that so many families should spend more time talking about, and we want to thank you for being with us this evening.
Thank you for having me.